You see the rocket that is perfect. You remember probably this rocket is from SpaceX. Yeah, this rocket which you can reuse. I wanna talk a little bit about innovation and Toyota Kata. And when I was listening to the other presentations here, I also could call this presentation the Kata the end, because Thilo was talking about the beginning, and I can tell you now what happens if you are always and repeatedly asking these 5 questions to people. What happens with these people? I'm one of these guys. I'm one of the first Kata geeks in Germany. I would say I started to practice the Kata in 2011, 2012. Here, this picture is from 2012. You see here the guy with the glasses is me. Yeah, of course, I'm looking a little bit different today. I'm here the coach. There's a second coach behind me, and the improver. This was really a very interesting exercise. A lot of learnings. I shared it already in the breakout session. What I learned, and I tell you one thing. I did hate it. I did hate always these 5 questions. But at the end of the day, I would say it was the right thing I went through, because now we trained a lot of people in our company. I'm working currently as a venture partner for Siemens Energy, the carve out from the big Siemens, and we are in the middle of a transition to more greener energy, and therefore it's very important that you are innovative. Yeah, you have to be innovative. And the question is, why innovation matters, why innovation is important. Yeah, we are always talking about process improvement, but I would say my hypothesis is process improvements are not enough. You have to innovate. You have to innovate yourself. One hypothesis what I would share with you is that within the next 10 years, all existing technology will be disrupted, or even earlier. They will be disrupted. And I show you one thing which can demonstrate this, what is really happening. One example is we have these megatrends in the world, and one of the megatrends is that everyone and everything is connected or will be connected at gigabit speed. And how to demonstrate what happens if this megatrend really attacks us, I show you one example. Through this Internet of Everything, this tool where we are talking with, within from December 2019 until April 2020, did reach a market capitalization which was bigger than the market capitalization of all airlines together. I found this very interesting. There are some meta trends outside, like abundance of capital and energy, artificial intelligence, brain-computer interfaces, and last but not least, demonetization, where you don't need even assets to run your business, are forcing almost all existing companies to reinvent themselves. That means you have something to do to reinvent yourself. The question is how to do this. And today, by reflecting on 2 aspects of reinventing yourself in the area of innovation, I would like to show how we apply Toyota Kata, or how we are applying Toyota Kata. And to be honest, we are applying Toyota Kata even without thinking about that we are applying Toyota Kata. We are just applying the Mando models. One of the biggest hurdles to be innovative is something what we are calling the immune system of the organization. What do we do we mean with immune system? Over decades, organizations did learn very well to attack things which could threaten them from the outside, and which can somehow threaten the existing and over decades successful systems. A few obstacles which you can observe when you look into an immune system of organization. Of course, this is maybe in our company, in your company, it's completely different. Employees aren't empowered and motivated to innovate. There is not really a strategy, at least the strategy about innovation is unclear. The company is successful with the current products and innovation is too risky. There's very hard to get the connection to customers, at least for employees. Innovation is measured by revenue and profit, and daily business and innovation are seen as two different things. What to do? We wanted to create a breeding ground for innovation, and therefore we used the Kata approach, but we called it differently. We called it dynamic strategizing, and the good thing is we had a lot of people trained in Kata. They are no more practicing it, but they at least understood it. Okay, I want to share with you dynamic strategizing. What are the steps? At first, you start with the purpose. You start with the purpose. What is the bigger reason for your transformation, or even what is the bigger reason your company exists at all? Next, you start creating a vision. You create a vision for your company. What are behavioral patterns? What is that? How we want to run our business? All about culture. The biggest problem of visions is that normally companies are creating posters at the walls. This is not what I understand. What they understand under vision. A vision should consist out of a narrative. You must be able to tell a story to your people. Number three, you have to sense into your organization. You have to feel what are the biggest problems of your organization. This is a very important step and needs, I would say, a little bit more knowledge than just understand Kata. Especially, you have to look at your company like a living organism or a living biotope. With the results of sensing, you create, you know this phrase, your next target condition. It means what cultural traits you want to achieve, you would like to achieve within the next, let's say, 4 months, 3 months, 4 months, what you want to achieve first. Now you know already as a Kata geek what comes next. You define experiments. You define experiments to overcome obstacles. Most of the obstacles you already figure out, you already learned about them when you did your sensing. What is different to the starter Kata is that we are doing in an organization, a living organism of 3,000, 4,000 people, we are doing many experiments in parallel. And then we are learning from these experiments and doing more of these experiments. That means it's really not easy to reach this target condition. But if we then did reach out the target condition, we are creating new target conditions and step by step coming closer to the vision. This is what we are calling dynamic strategizing. There is one additional step or one additional thing which is different to everything what you learn from process improvement is that from time to time it makes sense to justify vision because you will get a new management. They are thinking, they learn something completely different. They are thinking about different things which are important. Your complete world is changing. You just look at the pandemic, and you have to approach things from a completely different thing, and so on. It means this is special. This is a special step which should happen from time to time, but then you do everything again and again and again, and so step by step coming closer to your target condition or to your vision. Before you ask how successful we are with this, I can tell you we are still fighting against the immune system of the organization. This is a longer process. You saw it already. I think we are applying here the mental model of the Toyota Kata in a little bit different way. And I also tell you there is no coaching Kata anymore. I'm coaching teams, but there is no one-on-one coaching anymore. Number one. Number two. Now let's assume our immune system is already weak and we have great idea or three great ideas. Yeah. An idea is also not enough. You want to make money with it. What do you do to make money? You create a business model. Yeah. I kind of cannot go into the details of business models. That is also different science, but there are a lot of obstacles which again coming with the creation of an successful business model. If when you look into our organization, the people have a lot of problems to create these business models. One of these, a few of these are people are falling in love with the idea. People are believing in studies, they're believing in common sense. We always did it this way. Believing in business case. We like to create business cases for the future. We think we can predict the future. And people are also taking statements on the business model for granted. If it's on the slide, they believe it. What the people forgot is, or forget, is that business models are full of assumptions, as the business model tries always to predict the future. And unvalidated assumptions are the biggest risks, are the risks of the business model. And the task of creating a business model is to de-risk the business model. To de-risk the business model, you must validate all of the assumptions. Here again comes the Kata into the game. And you know how the Kata works. And if you look at this process, it's very clear. You have an assumption. For each assumption, you create a hypothesis. Then you create an assumption, an experiment, and then either you validate it or you invalidate your assumption. How to prioritize the assumptions and what to do when you didn't validate, when you invalidate the assumption is a different story. I cannot tell you now, but of course we can talk about this in a different session. Yeah, that is more or less high level what I wanted to tell you. What did we learn? What did we learn? By training of the Toyota Kata, people internalize for the rest of their life a special way of thinking and acting. Kata is not limited to process optimization. It can be used even for very complex systems, like a living organism of an organization with some adaptation. If you're navigating in unknown territory, for instance, like assumptions in business models, Kata is a very appropriate method approach to validate assumptions, to de-risk business models, to create new businesses. And one other thing what we learned when we deal with innovation, that we found out there is a big thing what is completely missing in such a big corporation like Siemens Energy. We don't have entrepreneurs, people which are really able to create new ideas and to innovate within the company. We are all used to optimize our processes to fulfill to follow the rules to achieve our targets, but our targets never have been create innovation, create something what never happened before. Therefore, we created a training program of the entrepreneur. You see here a few elements or skills what we are trying to train them. You see here, this is a mix from design thinking, lean startup, and of course Toyota Kata, which is the basis for everything.